If you are watching this video today, it is because something inside you already knows. You know that the time has come. You know that continuing to put off this decision to transform your life is, deep down, a way of dying slowly. Because there is a moment in every man and woman's life when the call comes, and when it comes, it does not shout, it whispers, and only those who are ready can hear it. Today, you have heard it. And now that you're here, let me be blunt. Either you take charge of your destiny with the authority it demands, or you continue to give your life away to distractions, fears, and petty excuses that have never built an empire. If you were waiting for a sign, this is your battle cry. If you were looking for permission, I'm giving it to you. But more than that, I'm giving you the tools. Because, if you just want motivation, go look for sweet words. Here, you will find direction, purpose, strategy. The first thing I need to tell you is the hardest thing to hear. If your life is a mess, if your finances are broken, if your emotions are in ruins, it wasn't bad luck. It was a choice. Maybe not a conscious one, maybe not an immediate one, but a series of concessions that you allowed yourself to make. And that's good news. Because if you built the chaos, you are the one who can now rebuild the empire. But I'm not here to give you cheap hope. I'm here to give you a blueprint for transformation. And it starts at a single point: self-mastery. You don't rule anything, absolutely nothing, until you rule yourself, your habits, your impulses, your attention. That's the first battle. And the army you're going to have to face is inside your own chest. Governing yourself requires a radical decision to stop outsourcing responsibility. You are where you are because you were permissive. Because you said yes to what you should have said no to. Because you chose comfort when you needed confrontation. And if that bothers you, great. Discomfort is the first sign that the spirit is still alive. That you still have the strength to turn that key. So turn it, now. You need to understand that life will not give you what you want. It gives you what you demand of yourself, with uncompromising discipline. Discipline is not rigidity. It is freedom. Freedom from being a slave to your cell phone, your couch, junk food, and the validation of others. And that starts before the sun even rises. Your days will be great when your mornings are sacred. I got up before everyone else and read before the world woke up, because those who don't feed their minds will be devoured by distractions. Mental poverty always precedes financial poverty. Are you hungry to prosper? Great. But understand, prospering is more than making money. It's organizing your mind like a general organizes his army. It's knowing where you're going, why you're going, and with whom. If you don't have absolute clarity on these 3 points, you're lost, even if you're moving. And pay attention, movement is not progress. Many people pride themselves on being busy, when in fact they are just distracted. You need to cut out everything that doesn't bring you closer to your purpose. Cut out friends who hold you back, habits that destroy you, routines that numb you. Not out of pride, but out of honor. Honor what you can become. Honor what you came here to do. I want you to understand something now, with all the weight of this truth. The world owes you nothing. Not God, not the government, not your parents. The world only respects those who impose their presence, who take charge and decide to build with their own hands. That's what I did. I was born poor, in a stone room in Scotland. No money, no influence, no privileges. But, with one conviction, I would not stay there. And more importantly, I would not go back. Because, when the decision is real, there is no plan B. And the universe only conspires with those who don't leave room for plan C. You may think you lack money, connections, opportunities, but none of that is true. What is lacking, most of the time, is control. Control of your own mind. You need to rip that scarcity mindset out of yourself and cultivate an owner's vision. Owner of your own energy. Owner of your decisions. Owner of the empire that is yet to be born. But understand, an empire does not start with bricks. It starts with attitude. It starts with the way you make your bed, how you take care of your appearance, how you talk to yourself. The way you treat yourself defines the ceiling of your wealth. Because no one builds for the world what they are not capable of building first in their own room. Are you ready? Then prove it. Not to me, to yourself. Because every day the world wakes up and asks, who deserves to win today? And it answers that question based on your actions, not on what you think, not on what you feel, but on what you do. And, speaking of execution, here is your first challenge. In the next 24 hours, you will decide on 3 things you no longer tolerate in your life. 3 permissions that will be eliminated. And you will cross them out with the firmness of an emperor who does not accept betrayal within his kingdom. Because that is what mediocrity is, a daily betrayal of your greatness. Remember, if you're watching this video today, it's because the time has come. The time to stop doubting. The time to get up. The time to build something greater than your past. And I'll be here, step by step, mentoring you, to guide you. But the work is all yours. Now, if this really touched you, if you understand that this video is not entertainment, it's a call to action, then you already know what you need to do. Take a deep breath, look ahead, and meet me at the next step. Because your reconstruction has begun. Now that you're standing, now that you've awakened from your stupor and understood that the time has come, we need to go further. I need to show you what few see. Because the second step after mastering yourself is learning to build. And not just build anything. I'm talking about erecting a life and business structure that is as solid as steel, resilient, efficient, unshakable. You were taught to seek freedom, but freedom without structure is chaos. And chaos is the beginning of ruin. True freedom is born from relentless organization. Organization of time, money, thoughts. Only the man who masters his own system is free. And systems are not born. They are forged. At the height of my journey, I wasn't just a rich man. I was a system builder. I made every minute count. Every decision was a cog in a larger mechanism. Because I understood early on, it's not about working harder. It's about working with surgical precision. You need to stop running desperately after money. Those who run after money always get tired. You weren't made to run after anything. You were made to attract, with structure, with positioning, with real value. Wealth is not a hunt. It is a harvest. And only those who plant with method reap the rewards. The secret lies in efficiency. How many hours of your day are consumed by useless tasks, by unnecessary meetings, by messages that have no impact on your mission? If you don't know how to cut, you won't know how to grow. And that's why growth requires something no one likes to hear. Sacrifice, the sacrifice of your comfort zone, of immediate pleasure, of excessive opinion and lack of execution. Efficiency is not about doing things quickly. It's about doing what really matters. An empire is not built with 1,000 moves. It is built with 10 correct decisions, repeated with excellence. And for that, you need absolute focus. When I founded my first company, I decided that I would master the entire production chain, no depending on others. From ore to rail, from smelting to transportation, I was in control. This is called vertical integration. In the modern world, you need to apply this principle. Where do you depend on others today? Emotionally, financially, logistically, cut those dependencies. Control more of your process. Delegate what you can, but never outsource the essentials. And speaking of delegating, there is no efficiency without superior people. And that is perhaps the most powerful key I have ever given you. You don't have to be the smartest. You need to be the one who finds the smartest people and gives them a mission greater than their ego. I built everything by surrounding myself with men who were brighter than me in their fields. Because a true leader does not shine alone, he illuminates. But be careful. Don't confuse loyalty with sympathy. Your business doesn't need friends, it needs soldiers. And soldiers are chosen for their competence, character, and shared vision. If you have people around you today who make you laugh but don't help you grow, you are surrounded by distractions, not allies. And here's the truth that no one tells you: you're going to have to fire people. People, habits, excuses. Because an empire doesn't grow with sentimentality, it grows with purpose. I wasn't afraid to cut what wasn't performing. And that didn't make me cruel. It made me fair. Fair to my mission, to my legacy, to those who depended on me to thrive. You already know what you need to do. That person on your team who delays results, that habit that sabotages your Sundays, that excuse you repeat every time discomfort arises. Cut it out. Cut it out without hesitation. Because efficiency requires lightness. And lightness is achieved with firm decisions. Now, look around you. Look at your home, your schedule, your bank account. Everything there is a direct reflection of your ability to make practical decisions. Stop romanticizing. Every detail of your life reveals the level of internal structure you carry. The mess on your desk shows mental chaos. Your bank statement shows the clarity or confusion of your priorities. Your body shows your respect for yourself. You need to become obsessed with order. Because order prepares the ground for abundance. Nothing flourishes in chaos. Do you want miracles? Create fertile soil. Set schedules. Clear goals. Daily indicators. Even spirituality requires discipline. Even blessings need to find structure to land on. When I organized my operations, every dollar was counted, every function was measured, and if something didn't deliver results, it was eliminated. Do you think that's harsh? I call it responsibility. Because money doesn't accept drama. It obeys the command of those who respect it with intelligence. You need to start behaving like the manager of a large company, because that's what your life is. A conglomerate of decisions, assets, talents, and energy, and if you don't take on the role of CEO of your existence, someone else will do it for you. The market, the government, algorithms. You will be commanded, manipulated, replaced. But if you take that seat, that total leadership, then you will become unstoppable. And, at this point, I want you to do something right now. Write down anywhere the following sentence. I am the CEO of my empire. This is not a motivational statement. This is your identity. Because, as long as you see yourself as an employee of life, you will continue to wait for orders. But when you see yourself as the commander, you understand that it all starts with you, the energy, the organization, the efficiency, the profit, the expansion. Now answer me, with courage and truth. What in your current routine is stealing your performance? What are you still holding on to, but no, you should have left behind? What are the 3 weakest points in your structure today? And what are you going to do about them in the next 48 hours? Write it down. Don't just think about it. Write it down, because paper reveals what the mind still tries to hide. And, if you've made it this far, then you're ready for the next step. But first, I want to see your conviction. I want you to write in the comments of this video, publicly and symbolically, the following sentence. I am the CEO of my empire, and I am taking charge now. This will be your public declaration of responsibility and rebuilding. Not for me, for the world, for the universe, and most importantly, for yourself. Now that you've taken charge as CEO of your empire, it's time to face the most critical challenge. The people around you. Either they will elevate your empire, or they will quietly sink it. And there is no middle ground. Every great construction requires superior allies. You will not reach the top surrounded by mediocrities. You will need talent, visionaries, executors who are not intimidated by responsibility. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they choose the wrong allies. They surround themselves with people who comfort them but don't challenge them. People who applaud but don't deliver. That's not loyalty. That's sabotage in disguise. I tell you this with complete clarity. The best decision I ever made was to choose men better than myself. Sharper technicians, more precise engineers, operational leaders with more coolness than I could ever have. Because the secret of empire is this: hire those who know more. Delegate intelligently, Promote on merit, not on sympathy, and supervise with strategy, not with unhealthy control. When I started Carnegie Steel, I did so based on 3 non-negotiable principles: efficiency, loyalty, and vision. Efficiency, because only those who deliver stay. Loyalty, because trust is the glue that holds any structure together. And vision, because only those who see beyond the task at hand grow. I didn't hire hands, I recruited mindsets. And you should do the same. In your business, in your life, in your home. Look at every person around you and ask yourself, does this person raise my standards or make me complacent? Because if they don't challenge you to be better, they're already dragging you down. Maybe slowly, maybe with sweet words, but the direction is clear. They're a weight, not a pillar. And I'm not just talking about partners, employees, service providers. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family members. I'm talking about anyone who has access to your decision-making system. You need to create a personal culture of excellence. A culture where only those who contribute real value remain. Not emotional value, functional value. And here's a principle that's worth its weight in gold. Never try to carry an empire on the backs of those who only carry excuses. Because talent can be developed, but character cannot. And if you ignore character when recruiting, you will pay dearly. You will pay with energy, peace, time, and money. Every empire that has collapsed has fallen from within and, almost always, because of the wrong people inside the walls. Now you must ask me, but Carnegie, how do I find these right people? And I answer, you don't, you attract them. And you attract them when you raise your own standards. Because superior minds do not remain where there is disorder, drama, or lack of commitment. They cannot stand it. They are allergic to mediocrity. So, before recruiting outside, get everything in order inside. Have a clear vision, a written mission, a plan with goals, deadlines, and indicators. Great people are attracted to great structures. So be worthy of the allies you want to have. And, when you find someone really good, treat them like an asset. Invest in them, develop them, listen to them. Because every rare talent is an essential cog in your prosperity machine. And here comes another critical point. Never promote those who flatter you. Promote those who get things done. Those who think ahead. Those who propose before you ask. Because empires are built by minds that anticipate, not by bodies that obey. You need people who think with you, not just follow orders. People who buy into the cause, who wake up with fire in their hearts for what is being built. But for that to happen, you need to inspire. And inspiration comes from example. Do you want a committed team? Then show commitment. Do you want organized employees? Be obsessively organized. Do you want people who are hungry for growth? Be the first to study, execute, correct, and improve. The culture of your life and your business will mirror who you are behind the scenes. And remember, delegating is not abandoning. It is trusting with supervision. It is giving autonomy with responsibility. I reviewed every number. I knew every strategic decision. But I trusted my leaders. What's more, I gave them a voice and space to grow with me. Because a true empire is built with successors. With leaders who think like owners. Who feel like founders. And that's only possible when you share the why. Not just the how. You need to create an environment where extraordinary people feel valued, challenged, respected, where they can make mistakes without being humiliated, but where they also know that only those who grow will remain. Meritocracy is not coldness, it is justice. It is the only way to reward those who really contribute, and remove those who are just taking up space. And if there's one thing you should install in your empire today, it's this filter: performance with values. Because money without character is a time bomb. Growth without ethics is guaranteed ruin. You need to build something that is sustainable, replicable, and clean. A legacy that won't embarrass your grandchildren. That can be told with pride. That is worthy of remaining when you are no longer here. That is the difference between an opportunist and a builder. The former wants to make a quick buck. The latter wants to build something that will transform the world. And to do that, they need people of the same caliber. People who know that work is not punishment, it is art. Who understand that serving is a privilege. Who see business not just as a means of livelihood, but as a tool for contribution. Are you ready to build that team? Ready to lead with clarity, with conviction, with purpose? Then start today. Write down the names of the 3 people who most influence your routine, and be brutally honest. Are these people elevating or sabotaging your construction? If the answer is sabotage, you already know what to do. With courage, with respect, but with urgency. Because there is no time to waste. The world needs the empire you are building. The right people are waiting for your leadership. And you will only attract the extraordinary when you stop tolerating the mediocre. Now that you are surrounded by the right people, or at least have decided to remove the wrong ones, let's talk about what really builds an empire that not only stands the test of time, but transforms time to its advantage. Solid growth with purpose. You've been taught that growth is dangerous, that growing fast can be unstable, that growing too much attracts envy, taxes, attacks. That's not true. What attracts collapse isn't growth, it's growth without a foundation. And that won't be your case. Because what I'm teaching you here isn't explosion. It's expansion with structure. Growth with roots. And above all, with meaning. Nothing is more dangerous than a man who grows without knowing why. Because money that comes quickly into the life of someone without purpose becomes poison. It elevates the ego, destroys the soul, compromises vision, and you didn't come this far to lose yourself. You came to conquer and sustain that conquest, to leave a mark, to found a dynasty. And that's why you need to anchor your growth in something bigger than yourself. An empire that only serves itself dies with its founder. But an empire that serves the world lives on for centuries. And believe me, that's what you want. Not just to make money, but to know that every dollar, every cent moved by your company is elevating society. You are solving a real problem. You are truly transforming lives. Wealth is not a sin. Wealth is a mission. But it must be conducted with awareness. It must flow toward a greater purpose. Will what you build create jobs? Will it teach something new? Will it heal the world's ills? Will it leave an educational, cultural, or emotional legacy? Answer that question, because that answer will determine the size of your empire. When I decided to reinvest most of my fortune in libraries, universities, and opportunities for those who wanted to grow, it wasn't because I felt guilty about being rich. It was because I understood that it was my responsibility. The money you accumulate is just the raw material. What you do with it is the real project. You need to decide now. What will be the impact of your fortune? I don't care if you don't have $1 million yet. The decision comes before the number. Purpose comes before scale. Those who don't know what they're going to do with their wealth will never be ready to receive it. And those who already know start behaving like rich people before the money arrives. Mind you, I'm not talking about emotional philanthropy, the kind that just eases guilt. I'm talking about strategic philanthropy, building mechanisms that make people autonomous, that empower rather than sustain. You weren't called to give handouts. You were called to activate destinies. And that goes for everything you do. From hiring an intern to creating a new business unit. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing elevate someone's life beyond my own? Because that's the difference between a merchant and a builder. The merchant sells, the builder transforms. And transforms because he sees the invisible. You need to start seeing what most people don't see. Because most people only see next week's profit, not you. You will see 10 years ahead. You will plant today what your grandchildren will harvest with pride. That is dynastic vision. That is an empire mindset. And that requires sacrifice. The sacrifice of quick gains, of immediate satisfaction, of decorative success, True success doesn't appear on Instagram, it appears in history books. It appears in the eyes of those whose lives were transformed because one day you decided to be useful to the world. That is true wealth. But look, that doesn't mean giving up profit. On the contrary, an empire that doesn't make a profit is a theater. You need cash, margin, growth, but every penny of profit must have a destination. Because money without a mission becomes a trap. And if you still think you're going to build something great just for yourself, I'll tell you this, you won't. Because the universe doesn't favor those who accumulate just to protect themselves. It favors those who circulate, those who distribute intelligently, those who keep the flow of prosperity moving. I reinvested in technology, in processes, in people. Because I knew that every penny would come back multiplied. The world rewards those who multiply value, not those who merely consume. And you need to start thinking like this. How can I use my company's profits to increase the impact of my existence? Do you want to build something that no longer depends on you? Something that works even when you're not there? Then start documenting now. Systematize, train, prepare successors. Because a company that depends on your daily presence is a job in disguise. And you're not here to be your own employee. You're here to be a founder, to be a mentor, to be the creator of a culture that thrives, even when you're silent. You need to grow predictably, scalably, ethically, solidly. No shortcuts, no workarounds, no games. Because your construction will be respected or despised by the foundations you lay today. And never forget, it all starts with a single question, the question that will change your destiny forever. Who does my empire serve? If you answer that question clearly, everything falls into place. The strategy, the team, the capital, the customers, everything, because clarity of purpose is the beacon that organizes chaos. You've come this far because you're ready to grow without losing your essence. To prosper without becoming corrupt. To rise without forgetting those who are still trying to get up. You're not just another one. You are the builder of a new cycle, and the world is waiting for your empire. An empire that heals, that liberates, that educates, that prospers with purpose. Now that you have structure, superior allies, and a greater purpose driving your growth, it's time to talk about the most dangerous and, at the same time, most sacred territory there is, your mind. Because, before any empire can be built in the world, it must first be conquered within. And that conquest does not happen with force. It happens with mastery. And mastery requires constant vigilance. Self-management, internal silence, brutal clarity about who you are and, even more so, about who you no longer accept yourself to be. You already understand that you are the CEO of your external empire. But now you need to become the supreme ruler of your mental empire. And that, my friend, requires war. Because your mind, if not well trained, will be hijacked by algorithms, by inherited fears, by the voices of scarcity that have accompanied you since childhood, by the traumas you pretended to forget, by the emotional cycles you never had the courage to break. Either you control what enters your mind, or you will be a slave to what it repeats. And the problem with those who don't filter their thoughts is that they start to believe everything they feel. And feelings, when not guided by purpose, become sophisticated saboteurs. They make you look busy while you're just going around in circles. They convince you that you're making progress when, in fact, you're just distracting yourself with irrelevant tasks. Do you want real productivity? Then start by eliminating everything that confuses your mind. Everything that generates noise. Noisy people. News that feeds fear. Social media that steals your focus. Thoughts that feed guilt. Because productivity is a reflection of clarity. And clarity requires silence. Discipline, ritual, total protection of your energy. You don't need to know everything that happens in the world. You need to know, with precision, what is happening inside you. Because it is this internal radar that determines what you build. The speed of your mind defines the speed of your business. Your level of peace determines your level of scale. And if you're not sleeping well, you're not thinking well. If you're not thinking well, you're making bad decisions. And if you're making bad decisions, you're sabotaging everything, even without realizing it. So, understand this. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a strategy. Do you want to lead? Then stop neglecting the body that carries your mission. Fatigue is the enemy of discernment. Haste is the enemy of excellence. And the lack of rituals is the gateway to mediocrity. You need a sacred routine, a morning that puts you in charge before the world bombards you with urgencies, a moment of alignment, of deep breathing, of intentional reading, of listening to your inner voice. This isn't something monks do. It's something emperors do. The first thing I did when I woke up was to remind myself of my mission. I repeated to myself what I was building. I remembered the names of the people who would be impacted by my success. And I promised myself not to waste that day. It wasn't about motivation. It was about alliance. A daily pact with my future. You need this pact. Because every day, the world will try to distract you. And if you don't have mental anchors, you will give in. You will give up what you are building for relief. You will trade your destiny for distraction. So establish your mental rituals right now. A set time to get up, a book that feeds your creative mind, a moment of absolute silence, a notebook where you organize your strategy, no cell phone in the early hours, no conversations with those who are still lost. Your mind is too fertile to be contaminated early in the day, and if you still entertain thoughts such as, "I don't know if I can do it. I think it's too late. Maybe it won't work." I want you to understand the following. These thoughts are not yours. They are seeds planted by frustrated people, by voices that gave up too soon, by experiences that have marked you, but do not define your destiny. You are not your failures, you are not your fears. You are the architect of the next chapter, and you can rewrite your story. But you will only do so if you have the courage to destroy the lies you have accepted as truth. And one of the biggest lies is that you need to be motivated to take action. That's childish. Motivation comes and goes. What you need is commitment. An uncompromising commitment to the mission you carry, to the talents you have been given, to the impact you came here to make. You don't wake up to see what happens. You wake up to build, to decide, to lead, to execute, and only those with a clear mind can do that. Focused, armored, and that is achieved through daily practice. Want a practical exercise? Start now by identifying the 3 most recurring thoughts that have been draining your strength. Write them down, make them visible, and replace them with statements that reinforce who you are becoming. Don't repeat, "I can't." Say, "I am becoming capable of." Don't say, "I don't have time." Say, "I am reorganizing my schedule to prioritize what matters." Change your language, and you will change your empire. And here's a truth that few dare to face. Those who don't rule their minds will be manipulated by the minds of others. Whether by a boss, an ideology, an algorithm, or collective fear. But they will be manipulated. You need to be the programmer of your mind, because either you program, or you will be programmed, and that includes how you respond to failure. Failure is not the end, it is feedback. And well-interpreted feedback is worth more than praise. But to do that, you need to stop punishing yourself, and start observing yourself, with detachment, with self-love, with a genuine desire to improve. Every empire was once in ruins. Every powerful mind has been in conflict. What separates the great from the mediocre is not the size of their mistakes, but the speed with which they learn and realign themselves. You are here, now, with everything you need. The rest will be the result of your mental decision to no longer give in to passivity, to no longer negotiate with doubt, to no longer surrender your peace to any external provocation. Your inner empire needs to be shielded, because it is the foundation of the outer one. The strength of your mind will be the strength of your income. The depth of your self-knowledge will be the depth of your leadership. The firmness of your purpose will be the firmness of your presence. So now, commit. Not to the video, not to me, to yourself. To what is being built inside you. With your new identity, with the invisible empire that is already being built, thought by thought, if you've made it this far. Listening to every word, absorbing every instruction, facing every truth. Then I can already say, you are no longer the same. Something has changed, something has awakened. And now, the time has come to seal this transformation with the noblest of commitments. To lead with legacy. You understand that life gives you nothing. It gives you back what you build with discipline. You understand that true freedom comes from mastery. That growth without purpose is vanity. That people are an empire's greatest asset. That the mind must be trained like a warrior trains his sword. Now, one decision remains. What will you do with all this? I'll tell you what I did. I took every principle, every value, every penny I had saved, turned them into institutions, into culture, into history. Because, in the end, the true triumph of an empire is not in numbers. It is in continuity. In impact, in the transformation it causes, even when the founder is no longer present. That's why you're here, to be remembered not just as someone who won, but as someone who lifted everyone around them up, as a builder of possibilities, as a silent mentor for the next generations, as someone who, in the midst of chaos, decided to build order, in the midst of distraction, decided to practice discipline, in the midst of doubt, stood firm in their convictions. And I need you to understand this with all the weight and glory of this truth. The world is waiting for your empire. Not your ego, not your perfection, your empire. What you were called to found. The system that only you can create. The service that only you can deliver with excellence. The culture that only you can establish. Whatever it is, a business, a brand, a movement, a community, a work, don't put it off any longer. Don't wait for total certainty. Great builders didn't start out with everything clear. They started with courage. And clarity is built along the way, not in theory. What you need is in the next step, not in the next course, not in the next video, not in the next opinion of others. The only thing separating you from the empire you dream of is daily execution, uncompromising consistency, stupid perseverance. The will to keep going even when no one is watching, even when no one applauds, even when the world seems to be falling apart outside. Because the foundation you have built inside is already stronger than any crisis. You are responsible, and more than that, you deserve it. Not because everything went right, but because, even when everything seemed to go wrong, you stayed. You rebuilt, you repositioned yourself, and today, you are ready to lead with excellence, to organize with strategy, to scale with ethics, to serve with nobility, to profit with conscience, to expand with purpose, and above all, to leave a legacy worthy of your name. The journey does not end now. It begins. It begins with new decisions, with new habits, with new people around you, with new criteria, with new standards. You will never go back. Because the man who saw his own potential and decided to honor it is no longer the same. So, starting today, all your days have an owner. You, all your decisions have direction. Your purpose, all your efforts have a destination. Your empire, and if someone asks what happened to you, if someone says you're different, that you're more determined, quieter, more selective, more disciplined, just smile. Because builders don't explain. They deliver, they build, they manifest. You don't have to convince anyone. What you build will be your explanation. Your presence will be your authority. Your results will be your answer. Because those who know what they are doing don't waste time proving it. And if doubts ever arise, because they will return to this moment. Return to the day you heard this mentoring and understood that you were capable, that you were worthy, that you were chosen for something greater. That is the turning point. That is the day that will divide your life into before and after. Now go, execute, build, inspire, serve, prosper, and when the world asks you what your secret was, say, with firmness and simplicity, I took charge, and I never gave it back. And if this video really touched you, if it sparked something that was dormant, then do what builders do. Multiply, share it with someone who is ready to listen. Show them the way with your actions. Sign up here to continue receiving the tools you deserve. Because this is only the first of many constructions we will build together. See you at the top, or, rather, at the next brick of your masterpiece. Now go and build.